All right. So how's it going, everybody? I hope everybody's doing pretty good. Hope everybody's day is off to a good start. Mine is pretty good. I did go back to some old settings. Um, I was using my 520. I was using my 528 and my Rollcaster and a couple other pieces of equipment, and I was kind of in the rabbit hole yesterday. But got up today, watched some videos, and kind of got it back together to a point where I'm happy with. And then I set up my chain around it, my podcast chain. But today is what's today? Tuesday. Uh, Everything is going pretty good. Still on hold for the I did my drug test for Amazon. I'm still kind of waiting on them to uh let me know when my drug test and everything will be. So we'll see. It's coming. They can be kind of slow sometimes, but I'm just glad I passed the background check and the driver test and all that. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm golden. I'm just waiting on their process with the drug test. It was kind of funny that I actually got the results for the the drug test. They give them to you. They give them to you right after you're done. I mean, so that was a good thing. I've seen it before. I've seen it where they do the the test right there in front of you, and but they had a couple of different ways to do it, but it was mainly the place was mainly a place for I guess for house arrest people or whatever, people on probation or whatever you want to call it. So that they I got there at a good time too, because it was like a couple people rushed in after me. One guy, he drove like an hour from where he lived, and he had to drive back and had to be at work and all that kind of stuff. So I was glad I wasn't him, but I got in there, did my thing, and they got whatever the system is. It spits out your results while you're sitting in there, and then you have to go up there, take a picture, send it to Amazon, and then you keep your paper, your copy. So, and I believe in the background, I think they send Amazon a copy also. So that's pretty good, and it gives both people uh results on that kind of stuff. So that's pretty good. Um, Also, I was sitting. I think I was watching. I was on Facebook. Come to find out, uh, Samuel L. Jackson has an acting class that I might take, an acting master class. I mean, it's like 150 a year. I mean, that's money well spent. To learn from an actual actor like Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, that's like if Denzel put out a master class, or you know Taraji P Henson, if she put out a master class, or whoever is a successful actor, or even, to be honest with you, actors that are just, let me take that whole thing back. Actors who are still in the game and can add some of their experiences so other people can learn from them. I'll take it. That's definitely a good idea. Even rappers in the industry, and they can say, okay, this is my experience. And after this course, then, you have a good understanding of moving forward, because it makes you wonder sometimes with these actors, how they, number one, how do they remember that whole entire script? And you walk in there and you just, you know, rattle everything off, and like they do movie after movie after movie after movie. And it's like, dude, how are you doing this? That's what I would like to know. You know, not only remember it, but when they walk into these sets, sometimes they walk in, ready to go, excellent job, A1, and don't get me wrong, I get it. they're the amount of money they make is like, it's like crazy. So it's not like you can say, oh, well, you ain't paying me enough and all this kind of stuff. With some actors kind of like, you're basically doing it for free. But it does say that it's leading somewhere else. So that's a good thing. But I looked at that and I'll probably get it and and look through it just to soak up some energy from it and learn from it. Because it can help in podcasting because the thing that everybody goes through in podcasting is you hate your voice. That's I mean, it's the worst thing you can do is have headphones on and be able to listen to your own voice and see how bad you sound. It's just a really, really hard thing to get over. But for me personally, I'm pushing through it. I'm pushing through it because it's like, you know what, good, bad, or ugly, I'm putting out episodes. And if you're listening to both of my podcasts, the narrative mindset and stuff you should think about, when you listen to my growing catalog, you'll see progression. Some good, some bad. But the point is, I still kept going. I don't just quit because, I'm in the rabbit hole. Like yesterday, I was in the rabbit hole and I still produced an episode. Still kept working on my sound. Still got up this morning, still kept working on my sound. Got to a point to where I'm happy. I haven't listened to this, so I don't really know how it's gonna sound. But good, bad, or ugly, it's still getting processed and put out. And that's podcasting. You're in it for the long haul. You're not in it for put out an episode, get 20 million views. That'll be nice, but you can't really rely on that because more than likely that's not going to happen. So, that's just the thing. And plus, also, for me, I have a lot into it. I got tons of plugins. I've spent probably. I'm thinking you could probably say about a good 150, 200 on plugins. Another maybe 200 on DAWs. Maybe another 2,000, 2,500 on equipment. So I'm constantly building my system and trying to get it to where I want to get it to. So, it's definitely kind of an expensive hobby. So it's something else. It's something else. Let's put it that way. It's something else. But, you got to keep going. Got to keep going. You got to keep working. You got to keep striving. You got to keep just keep pushing, you know, and that's outside of life. Everything that's happening, everything that's, jobs and ups and downs and things that you have to do and things that aren't going right. And, you know, sometimes you may not have the equipment you want. You may not, all kinds of stuff, you know. Life is gonna hit you regardless. So you have to pretty much make a decision and focus on it 100%. I learned that from Jermaine Dupree. He said, when I'm doing something, I'm on it 100%. So that's what I started doing. I said, okay, let me stop jumping around. Let me say, okay, uh, if I'm on a job, I'm gonna give my 100%. Doing my podcast, doing that 100%. I'm not jumping around trying to do, my job plus ride share plus something else. I'm not jumping around on my podcast trying to do my podcast plus, have another YouTube page and all this kind of stuff. I have a YouTube page attached to it that I post it's got my RSS and it posts my episodes, but that's about it. I don't have I don't have anything else. But the focus on my two podcasts. One of them is, like I say, my narrative mindset podcast. That's where it gives just a narrative of what I'm thinking, and that's why it's called the narrative mindset. And my other podcast is stuff you should think about. Stuff you should think about. I answer questions about everyday phenomena and objects. And it's certain subjects. And I want people to understand that if you happen to go and listen to my stuff you should think about podcast, please understand that just because somebody else talks about a subject, you can still talk about it because that person doesn't own that subject. Talk about diabetes. If you Google diabetes, there's, probably hundreds of pages and podcasts and shows that talk about diabetes. Now, if you go to somebody else's page and you literally copy their stuff or, transcribe their podcast and say the exact same thing, yeah, now you're copying that person's work. But as far as the subject, if you get a subject from my podcast, you say, okay, I'm going to go do an episode on that same subject. You're not copying off of me. You're just getting a subject that, thousands of people have done already. So, but besides that, it's 10:30 right now. I'm, always up early, uh, kind of doing my thing and basically, dealing with this podcast also, uh, getting that right. Like I said, I got my settings right. I've been going back and forth with Lenny B's YouTube page, and then I finally had to come to the realization he's using the exact same mic that I have, exact same setup. He's got an SM7B with a cloud lifter. I have an SM7DB that has a cloud lifter built in it. He's using Simtrex 528E on his YouTube video. I have a Simtrex 528E. Set it the same. Ran it through my Rodecaster, and I added a little bit of compression, a little bit of de-esser, just kind of the default. And then I ran it through my chain on my DAW. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm good. I'm not gonna screw around with it no more. Just kind of let that one ride. Number one reason I'm doing that is because on my Stuff You Should Think About podcast, I'm almost to 100 episodes. I think I'm about at 90, 96, or 97. So, I got to get it together because by 100, at least by my own rules, by 100, I need to be okay. Now we smooth. Now we smoothed out most of the edges. Now we need to be consistent. So, because after 100, at least the way I feel is if I'm listening to a podcast after 100 episodes and they still ain't got it together, now I'm starting to think, okay, what's going on here? At least in my own mind, by these the critics, they don't exist. They only exist in my head. I'm not sure if they're real or not because I don't have any, but I'm going off their opinion. So that's the way I think. It's not anything that anybody else should go by, but it's just something that I think. That the way the rules that I put on myself. So that's kind of the way I look at it. So, but I guess I just wanted to get an episode out today. I'll probably do not stuff you should. Yeah, great. A stuff you should think about episode after this and get that done. After I get done with this one, run my chain on it and kind of see how that sounds. If it's still good, hopefully it is, because I don't want to go back down the rabbit hole. But if that's good, then I might do a Stuff You Should Think About episode and be done for today with the podcast sound and everything. So, like I said, hope everybody's day got off to a good start. If not, remember, you can stop right now and make sure that the rest of your day is better than the previous part up until now. All right, have a good one.